Hey everyone, we are streaming live on Facebook today. It's Thursday, and Janice Inspiring Change 2021 is having its 20th episode. So hi everybody, my name is Janice and I am the founder of Janice Inspiring Change Holistic Nutrition. My website is janiceinspiringchange.com if you would like to get in touch with me, if you have any questions. Back in December 2020, I decided that I wanted to bring you experts in the wellness field to grow your opportunity to become healthier, because that is part of what I do. I'm trying to inspire you to make healthy changes so you will feel fantastic. So I've had some guests on. This is the episode 20, and my guest today is the amazing Linda Wentzell. Hi, Linda.
Good morning.
So happy that you could join me. So
happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Thank you. And happy spring. Linda and I met in Bridgewater when I was living there, kind of back and forth from Qatar to Bridgewater. And I'm not exactly, I was thinking about that, Linda. I can't really remember how we bumped into each other. Maybe it was at the YMCA. I think that was it. Yeah.
Well, Janice, you and I met, we came face to face actually when I was at the NSCC, and you were teaching there. And it was many years later that I believe we saw each other at the YMCA.
That's right. You were a student and I was teaching cosmetology way back then.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. I remember that. Yeah. So Linda has a really interesting background, and I want to pick her brain. And I want her to tell us what it is that she offers, because she offers some amazing therapies. And so before we get started, I'm just going to read a very brief bio about Linda, and then we'll just get started with some questions that I have for her. So Linda Wentzell is
excuse me.
Oh, no problem. Just hold on a second here. There we go. Yeah. Linda Wentzell operates Phoenix Health and Wellness NS. Her journey has been influenced by luminaries such as Louise Hay, Wayne Dyer, Greg Braden, Joseph Campbell, and Shirley McLain. She has studied homeopathy, the science of dowsing, energy therapy, and the teachings of Edgar Cayce, to name a few. Linda was the assistant to Renee Greeter, the esteemed owner of the Energy Therapy Center in Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. And I remember seeing him when I was living there. I was a client there. This center was where people came from all over the world to help create wellness and balance in their life. Linda, from her home on 6 acres of land in the heart of Lunenburg County, Nova Scotia, that she shares with her respective other and their 2 cats, Linda offers Reiki, access consciousness bars, dowsing, and life wellness protocols. Wow, Linda. So you are a wealth of knowledge, and I want you to share with us what is, well, I think first I want to know, because I'm always curious, what inspired you to go this route in your life, in the wellness kind of route, and maybe, the energy and the spiritual route that you took? Where did that all come from?
Wow, Janice, that's a big question. And there is a big story behind it, because it's just been an unfolding of my life. From the time that I was very young, I became a helper in our household. Mom went to work at when I was very young. So being the oldest, I learned to help people. I learned to help my family and so on. As I went on with my years in education, I became interested. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm just going to go back a little bit. I think it was mostly when I was living in Halifax, and I met this lady She was a co-worker whose name was June. And June actually introduced me to vitamins, because I really didn't have any idea about those things way back then. But I was keen to find out more. And so I started to delve into it. And I think it was later that year, maybe into the next year, that a health store that is currently, I think, in Bridgewater under new ownership, of course. It was up for sale, and I thought, oh, I'd like to do this. I'm on a new adventure, and I want to get well, and I want to help people with their journey as well. So I came to Bridgewater and talked to the people who were selling. Suddenly realized that I had no business skills at all. So I just kind of backed right off. But in the course of the work that I did in other places, I did work in retail, and I worked with Renee. I worked in a naturopathic office. I had worked in a veterinarian office, and so a lot of the skills, the people skills that I was developing, was there. But I was learning hands-on in that respect, but I was also very much interested in continuing education outside of my job, outside of the work I was currently doing. There is a huge world out there just waiting to be discovered. And so that's the direction my life went. And it's very interesting that as I was preparing for this interview, I really didn't recognize how profound that journey was for me. And I started to look at that from a different set of eyes. So I'm very pleased to be doing this. Just one thing kind of rolled into the next. One of the other mitigating factors, I think, with me getting into some of the modalities I have, is that I had an immediate health crisis, an acute health crisis that led me into becoming a Reiki practitioner. And I was led to the Cairduin College, which was open in Halifax way back in the early 1990s. And they had students there learning to be Reiki practitioners. They gave they had to get some practical hours underneath their feet. So I heard about this clinic they were doing, and I said to my husband, I have to go. So because I was incapable of really getting around on my own, he got me there. And the experience was very profound. In a lot of ways, the physical body, I will confess that I did experience a very huge, a very profound interaction with my aunt's energy, her spirit. And she had died about 4 years prior to that. So I'm very intuitive. The first thing that came to my mind was, this is a sign for me. She's not only here with me, but this is a sign for me to become a Reiki practitioner, that this would be really helpful for others and vital for me, I think, in my journey.
And it's interesting, and thank you for sharing that, because it's interesting that you were open to what happened in that session, because you took what you saw, heard, learned, however you want to say it, what maybe your heart felt, and then thought, oh, okay, there's more here that I can explore. And that maybe was the thing that opened the door to you taking in like a sponge all the rest of the information. So today, with all of your modalities, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but what is your mission today? What is Phoenix Health's mission?
Well, my mission at the end of the day, Janice, my mission is really to not only help people with their journey at this particular point in time, but also help them to realize that they are able to do the same thing that I'm doing. The tools are available to them. And so they could do that for themselves. They can do that for their family. So I'm not only a facilitator of wellness, I'm also a teacher in that respect. And usually my first interaction with somebody is here with me in a session where we can sit down. I'm also doing Zoom sessions these days, but to sit down and have a talk about where they are in their life, what they want, what they need, what their perception is, and see how what I have to offer fits with what they need, and just go from there.
Okay. So my next question, there's two parts. So who are your clients? And for the most part, who are your clients? And what are the tangible benefits to your clients of working with you?
Excuse me. Well, my clients are men, women, children, and even pets.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yes. I've worked with my own cat. I've worked with children from, other provinces. Some of the people that I'm currently working with are as far west as British Columbia. Mm-hmm. And they're people who are looking, of course, because they're led to me. I guess they're intuitively led to me for answers and simple solutions. People want simple solutions, and I think I can offer that. So that's what they're looking for: wellness, health, balance in everything that they do. And I can help them achieve that. I don't have all the answers, much as I'd like to. I wish I did, but I can help in whatever capacity I'm able to with the skills that I have. Mm-hmm. And I'm reasonably well connected with our holistic network in the communities. So if there's something that they need that I cannot provide, I have absolutely no problem with suggesting an alternate for them.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is one of the benefits, I guess. So I think it's also, I have a few notes here, excuse me, just to keep me on track.
I'm just going to interrupt just to remind the viewers and listeners that I'm speaking with Linda Wentzell, and she has a business called Phoenix Health and Wellness NS. And we're talking about how she helps people balance their lives. So while you're kind of looking at your notes there, Linda, I have forgotten that I had inquired with you about my cat, because she was very, very stressed, and I was looking to go back to Qatar and wondering, if she was going to be able to make the trip, and or maybe I had to rehome her. So I remember getting lots of valuable information from you at that time. I'd like to ask you, are your clients mostly people who have chronic illness, or are they people who think that maybe they need to be a little healthier, but they don't really have issues with their health, or what are they overall?
I tend to find that it's people who are in a critical situation, sometimes acute. I have had calls from New Brunswick where there's been an incident with a young boy who's fallen off of his bicycle and hit his stomach on the handlebars, and there was bruising in the area, swelling, and a stomach and an ache, actually. So I was able to facilitate, an overnight solution for him with the tools that I have. Mm-hmm. So, wow. Yeah, that can happen. It never fails to amaze me. It just never does. So, and I'm so excited to be able to do this. So,
yeah. Anything there that you wanted to add? Did you get a chance to reflect on your notes? Was there something there you wanted to add, or
actually, Janice, thank you. The reason I have my notes, first of all, is because I can chat about a lot of things in a big amount of time. So this just helps keep me on track.
No worries.
So the benefits, there's quite a few, actually, and one of them, I think, that might top the list, is that the solutions are simple. You know, people come to me, they talk to me about what their issues are. And, you know, basically, once we establish what they need in particular, then the rest is up to me. Beforehand, though, it's really important that people set their intention for, you know, getting well. So the solutions are simple. I think that another benefit for the clients is that when they have an opportunity to talk, to share their story, what's going on, and not necessarily on a superficial level that they might talk to other healthcare providers. The work that I do is holistic, and so we encompass whatever's happening, not only with the physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual body, but also talk about what's going on in the environment around them as well. And that may include their home or their office or things that are in the air these days. Mm-hmm. So it actually helps them to be feeling a sense of ease, and you know, that's so important, to have a sense of ease with the people that are working for you and with you. Mm-hmm. So another very basic benefit is the enhancement of the vitality, the improvement of your immune system, and the increase of levels of energy.
Mm-hmm. Sounds awesome.
Well, I hope so. Yeah. So there's this development, this building of a relationship of trust and mutual respect through the communications and the you know, the delving into whatever it is that's requiring balance, so that the body and the mind spirit can heal. Mm-hmm. And because I do remote work, it's not all remote, and I'm going to explain that here soon. When I do remote work, clients don't have to come to see me. Right. And that means they have more time on their hands to be doing something else. And mm-hmm. there's less expense for travel. Right. And that is, I think, important for people who might be from away, British Columbia, New Brunswick, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I did have someone come to me last year in August, and he was very, very ill. And the doctors had given him 2 to 3 weeks to live. I had been contacted and asked if I could help. And I said, I am only facilitator. I am not the healer. But I will promise to do whatever is within my power and scope of knowledge to help. So after his visit with me, he went back to New Brunswick, saw his doctors maybe 2 weeks later, and they were really surprised and amazed at how the progression of his disease had slowed down. And to the best of my knowledge, he is still here walking amongst us today. Wow. And I'm getting goosebumps telling the story. It's amazing. I did not diagnose. I did not prescribe. I just worked with the energies. I worked with the particular things he spoke to me about, and it was really a very amazing opportunity to meet him and work with him. And so you can imagine how rewarding the potential of this work is, to be able to help people who are in that kind of a crisis.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, I have to mention the you know, in my line of work, I help people I work with illness and disease, and the same kind of thing. The focus often is diet and change lifestyle habits, but what you do is so much a very important part of making those lifestyle changes. Diet is one aspect. Yes. When we use that term mind, body, spirit, or mind, body, soul, and I think a lot of people don't understand the huge connection that exists there, and we can change our habits, but we also have to change thoughts and change our vibration, raise our vibration,
Yes.
change the energy that our body is in, because that's where, with the help of all of this, the diet, the lifestyle changes, and the work that you do, is to get to the root of why there's low energy and how to bring that back up. And that's where that term, bring the body back to balance, that's what that means. You can't usually just do it with one tool. It usually requires the connection of the mind, of the body, and the spirit, which is part of the work that you do. I do some of that work, you do some of that work. We all have our place, our role to play in bringing that body back to balance. And so the more open a person is to making a shift, then the more successful the results will be. And like you say, you know, you're not a healer. There's no, you're basically a guide to help bring that energy in, or shift the energy in. And the person does it themselves, don't they?
Well, yes, essentially they do. Yes. And mostly that is by setting their intention. Right. What is it that you want? This is what I want. And by setting your intention, you know, absolutely divine things can happen. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The body, spirit, mind, and you know, it heals. Yeah.
So given the work that you do, what do you think are the biggest challenges that we face in our society today? I tend to ask that to a lot of the people I'm interviewing, because I think that when we can see a different perspective of what the challenges are, then together we can perhaps close the gap there. So what do you feel are some of the biggest challenges that we face today?
Looking for my pen. I think perhaps one of the biggest things is lack of communication. And you know, there's almost no beginning or no ending place for the challenges that we have today. And Janice, I'm just going to open this up into a bit of a broad perspective, and hopefully I'm on the right track with this question and my answer. And I used to be a tutor coordinator at the Bridgewater Junior Senior High, and one of the things that I discovered by asking the teachers, why are children needing tutors? And the answer was that they don't get fed breakfast. They don't get breakfast, and they're not read to when they're children before they start school. And those were the two main factors. And so right from the get-go, children who are not receiving what they need in that perspective are not learning well. They're not learning, they're not getting educated in a way that other children that have other benefits may. And so that kind of sets the groundwork for, you know, the potential for a lifetime for them. So yeah, I'm an advocate for the kids. I'm sorry, you know, from every perspective. And that was when I read this question and I considered it, that was the first thing that came up. The next thing that comes up is the challenges of having things like iPads and cell phones that are, you know, that so many people are on, to the degree that I've been in restaurants and two people sitting across from each other have been on their phones. And don't get me wrong, I've got no problem with iPads, telephones, cell phones, etc., or the technology we have today. But I feel that it's really distancing us in a lot of ways. and people aren't talking to each other anymore, or in a lot of instances. I suppose I should put it that way. So when the communication is broken down, we're not hearing each other. We're not being supportive of each other, and so I think for that reason, small practices, businesses like that you and I do are places that people are going to look for answers. And but there's more and more cropping up all the time. We never used to have this like 15 or 20 or 30 years ago, but they're reaching out in a way that they know how to be able to change change what's happening in their lives. And to improve. So I think the communication too is really important. And I guess I leave that as a basis, because people who do not have that scope of knowledge, because they're not readers or they don't communicate in some ways, are not finding out about the services that are available to them that will help to improve their health. And in a lot of cases, I mean, I'm from Lunenburg County, and for a lot of years, we've had a very, very old-fashioned way of doing things. And in a lot of ways, we are behind the times in respect to other parts of the world with their healing modalities, even with fashion and so on. But being able to talk to people and share what we know, but it's important to be heard, not only us listening to them and hearing their story, but also sharing what we know. And so we're communicating, we're able to inspire each other, we're able to educate each other, and we're able to support each other. And so I feel that, that more communication would be really, really good.
I really like that you mentioned about the children, because and what the feedback was with instructors when you asked the question. And the thing about it is, kind of going on a different note, but children now are sicker than ever. The rate of cancer and chronic illness, autoimmune conditions in children is just growing in leaps and bounds. And there's projections for autism, and the numbers of autistic children is going to double, I think, in the next 20 years. These are scary statistics. And if there's these children, those that survive, because a lot of them are just not surviving, they become adults, and they become adults with issues. And so when we can, and I'm such a believer, I don't have children, but I'm such a believer in if is in doing the right thing for children, because that is going to set them up for success or for a life of misery. And just nutrition alone is lacking for so many of our kids. Like I think you said that they come to school with no breakfast. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Yes.
And so where's the focus? Where's the concentration? It doesn't exist. And today, it's funny that the reason I'm kind of ranting about this is today I was doing my walk with the dog, and there's a bus stop not so far from here. And so families gather, because it's like the bus doesn't stop at every house anymore. There's a pool of kids in one area, and then maybe a kilometer, there's another. Anyway, there was a family in a car waiting for the bus, and they had obviously been to a donut shop on the way there. And they were all eating these things loaded with some white fluffy stuff on the top. And it's no wonder they can't learn in school. It's no wonder. I mean, they had breakfast, but that is those are such toxic foods that they're eating. They can't learn with that. They can't communicate with that. They're falling asleep in class, or they're hyperactive because they've had that sugar rush go through them, and they can't concentrate. So if they don't know how to communicate, then they're just, you know, that they become a problem in the class. They become labeled. They maybe get pushed through the system. There's so many things I can talk about, but when it just comes down to good nutrition and like you said, reading to your children and communicating instead of, you know, using the iPad as the babysitter, which is a lot of times what happens. And I know parents are busy and trying to work 2 jobs to make ends meet. I understand that. But that's, I think, where we need to put a lot of our focus, because those kids grow up and they're going to have problems if this is the way they're being brought up. So it's interesting that you bring that up, and the connection with maybe what you do now and how that can help not just people who are in a situation of a serious health condition or risk, but the youth, and getting the awareness to those people, to help them now where they are, so that they don't end up in a crisis situation down the road. Yeah. So Linda, because you offer Reiki, you do can you explain what dowsing is? Would you mind doing that?
Well, I think in a nutshell, I can explain it to you this way, that a lot of people know about water dowsing, or doodle bugging, as they might call it. And years ago, when our country was being settled, the settlers were using a piece of wood, a branch from an apple tree or a willow tree, to walk the land and find where their wells, where there was water that was easily accessible to supply for their household. And so that in a nutshell is what a lot of people would understand dowsing is. If I use the term, it doesn't mean anything, but if I put it in a context like that. Also, another context is, perhaps you've been to, for the ladies or the gentlemen, if you've been to a baby shower, and they take a length of thread with a needle at the end of it, and they use that to determine the gender of the baby. Mm-hmm. And that is dowsing as well. Right. But that has so many, dowsing itself has so many more applications. Mm-hmm. I'd like to perhaps, just wondering where I could take this. So what I actually had an experience with my cat, that I used dowsing to correct some kind of an imbalance that was happening. And my husband was in the living room, and he called me and he said, something's wrong with Rascal. And he obviously was in some kind of a crisis. He wasn't breathing right, and he looked distressed. So I went for my pendulum, and I set my intention for what I wanted to achieve. Well, that was to get his energy back into balance, so that he was going to be all right, because I wasn't sure he was going to make it through the next few moments or so. I'm not a veterinarian. It was just my sense, and of course my fear as an owner of a pet, to make sure that they were as healthy as possible. What can I do? And so I used my pendulum, set my intention, change the energy around what was happening. And it wasn't 10 minutes later that he was at the door wanting to go out, and he was just fine. Wow. I use that particular tool as well. I mentioned an instance a while ago about a young fellow from away who had fallen off of his bicycle. Well, that was also the tool of my choice at that particular time, and to help him over that trauma, and to reduce the swelling and eliminate the stomach pain as well. And it worked. Wow. Yeah, it's very interesting. Dowsing is very interesting work. I did a lot of dowsing when I was working with the energy, with Renee at the Energy Therapy Center. That is basically how we understood what parts of the body were being affected, what we were helping with, and Was it enough? Or did we need to work on that particular point for a few more moments or whatever? And so we were using our dowsing tools to tell us, it's enough or it's not quite enough.
Right.
So does that help?
Yeah, that does. And the other modality that you use is access consciousness bars.
Yes.
Can you explain that to people?
Well, yes. What bars essentially does, it's similar in some way to acupuncture, and in that there are energy fields in the body, as in acupuncture, but with access bars, there are points on the head, and they're electromagnetic points. Different points have a relationship with different aspects of our lives: career, money, relationships, our thoughts on aging, so on and so forth. And what happens when we're born, as we develop, grow up, go to school, go to work, we are being programmed to believe whatever we're told. And I mean, that's the way it is. Your parents are saying, okay, you do this, don't get up on the couch, you're going to fall and hit your head, and that's a form of programming. It kind of scares the kids into not being adventuresome, but it's the way it is. We go to school and we're taught things. We have to line up to go into school, or the bell goes off, and then we can go for recess, and all those not so major things, but it's programming nonetheless. And so the bigger things in life as we get older, all the things that we were taught when we were young, and that could be, include something like a parent saying to a child, you're never going to be good enough, or you can't do that, you're not allowed to do that. That kind of programming that keeps us from being the best that we can possibly be, from reaching the goals and being able to think outside of the box to things that we might like to do. We admire other people because they're doing it. We want to do it, but we're just going, well, we can't. We're not good enough, or whatever.
Like limiting beliefs.
Limiting beliefs, exactly. Thank you, Janice. That's a great way to put it, really. And so with the access bars, when I'm putting my hands on those points, it's shifting the energy again. Okay. And releasing the old limiting beliefs and allowing that person to create new ones. Mm-hmm. So that is one aspect of it. And, that's the basics. But with bars, post-traumatic stress disorder, people with that can also find benefit in the bars. Mm-hmm. I have actually noticed that when I have people are lying on a massage table, fully clothed, and perhaps covered up with a blanket. The session is a couple of hours, but when they're on the table, I've seen some transformations. I've seen a change in their physical, how their face looks, or how even when they were maybe laying on the table and maybe just a little anxious or something that was expressing itself in their physical mannerism at that point in time. And I've seen that change during the sessions, and it's quite amazing. I'm just always blown away by it.
It's so powerful.
It is.
The tools that you use now, I know they're not simple to learn and understand, and when you become a practitioner, that's what you learn, all of those things, and there's a lot of background information, but when you actually do what you're doing, the shift can be like, it can be life-changing for people, like the person who was told they had 2 weeks to live, and as you know, they're still alive. To your knowledge, they're still living. Major shifts in the body when you've been able to shift the energy there, and for you to be able to see a difference in the look of the person right then and there. there's so much power behind that. And I think that there's so much to learn and so much that people haven't experienced. And this is part of why I want to interview people like you who offer these types of things, because there is so much available to help us become well, and like you were saying, to achieve a balance in our lives. So is there any other type of modality that you use that we haven't talked about that you wanted to share?
Well, actually, yes, the life wellness protocol as well. That can be done remotely. Oh, remember to ask me, Janice, because I'll forget how remote works.
Okay.
I think that would be really helpful. But life wellness protocol can, for the most part, be done remotely. And there are a number of different components to the life wellness protocol. And unless there's an emergency, something that needs to be addressed immediately, my recommendation is always to start with, it's called a terrain, and it's an 11-day detox. And it's done with the equipment that I have. I have hardware and software that create a program and will help those people without even having to be here to get rid of whatever's in their body that's helping to create the imbalance and dis-ease in their body. Mm-hmm. And that's really a very fundamental part of what I do in that particular aspect of my work, because it lays the groundwork for everything else that comes later. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to resolve an issue without having cleansed the body, because you're going to be detoxing, the body will detox as we're working along. So you get rid of everything that you can that's right then and there. And then as the other things are filtering through after, as the therapy's progressing, then it's so much easier for the body to be able to deal with it. Mm-hmm. And the healing will come faster. There are bioenergetic scans that this particular part of this modality will offer as well. And it's scanning the body for what is out of balance. And there's a graph that's created. And from the graph, then the next step is to have a therapy. And what happens there is that the biofeedback scan, the equipment that I'm using is actually reading the scan and then neutralizing whatever is out of balance. And when you neutralize, then you're releasing those toxins, you see.
Wow.
It's a painless modality. It's a painless process. The worst that can happen is that you're not feeling particularly well. You might have a little nausea or perhaps a headache as a result of not detoxing properly. Mm-hmm. But communication with me during that process is vital, because I need to know, are you getting headaches? Are you getting nausea? Because the therapy will be slowed down or stopped to accommodate the client's comfort, really.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a way of, I guess we call that a healing crisis in the world. And when someone does what I call a serious detox, you're going to get reactions from the body. And often with that, we get a little bit afraid, and then we think, oh my God, what's happening here? I'm going to stop doing what I'm doing. But it's all part of the healing crisis. So you get past that and really start to become well again, or obliterate those issues that were there in the beginning, and the reason you're there in the first place.
Yes. Well, just to go on a minute about this protocol, if I may, Janice, there is another aspect of it. I beg your pardon.
And we have about 10 more minutes.
I'll talk fast.
No worries.
or not at all. So the last part of that, this particular life wellness protocol is what I call a general wellness maintenance program. And this can be a standalone program. It can be done after treatments, detox, and so on. And there is a variety of different vitamins, the frequencies, the energy of different vitamins and so on, different supplements that can be broadcast to the client. And I generally do that once or twice a month. And I have a number of different programs, a 3-month, 6-month, 12-month program that people can sign up for. And that just helps them along on their journey in a different way. Yeah. So Janice, if I may, I wanted to speak on how remote works.
Right.
Is this a good time?
Yeah, for
Is
sure.
it? Okay. For people who don't understand how remote works, or what might be called distance healing or distance wellness, everything is comprised of energy. There's the angelic realm as an example that has a very, very high frequency that we don't see. But then there is our chairs and our computers that are very low density frequencies that we can actually touch and sit on, and it supports us in that way as well. So there's that absolute range of, this to that. And so frequencies are used when radio stations broadcast a signal to, out into the ethers. And when we turn our radio on at that particular frequency that they're broadcasting at, which would be CKBW would be 98.1. They broadcast at that frequency. We receive at that frequency. The rest is history. You get to enjoy the music or the conversation on the radio. So essentially, remote work, the remote energy work that I do is very based on that very scientific principle. Mm-hmm. So as a practitioner, as a facilitator, I'm capable of setting up that broadcast, and because I know exactly who I'm working with and what their frequency is, then that resonates with them, and the healing frequencies are received by them.
Yeah. And that's a great way to explain it, to make to use the comparison of the radio. I've had distance sessions, healing sessions, lots, and I understand it, but not everyone does. And they think, well, how can that work? I'm not there. She's not touching me. How can it be? But it is as effective as being face to face.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how I'm able to work with people who are in British Columbia, right, and not able to get here right now, you see. So, and that's great. Great.
Yeah. So it's 10 to 12. I have one more question, and then I just want to make sure that people know how to get a hold of you. But my last question, Linda, and I maybe I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna.
Surprise!
Surprise! No, I think you might be okay with this. Is there, because what you do is not new to so many people, but it's very new to other people. Yes. Is there something that you can? Is there something you can offer the listeners who don't really know it? Today was kind of their first kind of, wow, really, you can do all this? Is there maybe it's to go to you for more information, but is there something that can help them learn a little bit more, or understand a little bit more, or maybe believe a little bit more in what you do? Is there some words of wisdom you can offer the listeners that can help them say, wow, then maybe I think I need to get more of this?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I'm wide open for, a brief telephone or even a Zoom consultation, so that we can talk a little bit about the questions, can answer the questions that people may have, and talk to them a little more in depth about what it is that they're seeking, and do we have a match. The internet is wide open for lots of information, good information, but there's also information out there that is detrimental or is contrary to, there's a lot of naysayers on this pseudoscience thing, and somebody's always, trying to debunk what we're doing. So it's really important to be discerning about that. But I would probably, here we go, excuse me, just 1 minute. So what I would probably say, and I hope this is in line with the answer to your question. So I'd ask people, I say, like, let me ask you this. How are your energy levels these days? Do you sleep well? Do you have clarity and focus that you need to achieve your goals, but maybe you're finding you don't have it? And how is that working for you? So what if I told you that there was a simple solution to help you enjoy more vitality, more sleep, and have the focus that you so desire? And I'd say, I help people like you to enhance your vitality, to get better sleep, to meet your goals in a good way, with a minimum of time commitment and effort. So that's one thing that might be helpful for people in understanding. That's a way I can help them. I think by opening your mind, if you're not sure about it, follow your gut instinct, your intuition. Is this what I want to do? Is this right for me? And follow your heart. So if you're drawn, if you feel like you're being led someplace, listen to that nudging. And if you arrive at the place that you're being led and you're not that comfortable, either ask the questions, find out more information, get a sense of what it all means, why you're there. And if it doesn't fit, then you can always do something about it, right?
Perfect answer.
There. Yeah.
Correct. So Linda, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, I am in the process of developing a website, and Janice is going to help me bless your little heart. But my email address is, if you have a piece of paper and a pencil handy,
and you can
right now.
You can also write it after we go off live today. You have the link, and you can also write it in the notes there as well, in the comments.
Oh, really? Well, I'm not that familiar with doing that, so maybe maybe you can walk me through that, Janice. And would that be where the chat is?
Yes.
You go into the chat. Oh, perfect. So if I can figure that out, then.
Oh, I mean, once we finish live.
All right.
Yeah, from Facebook, it's no problem. It's just like making a comment on a post. Yeah.
All right.
So give us the email address.
Okay. Yeah. It's all together. It's vibrational alchemy at bellalliant.net. And it's all lowercase, VIBRAT. Just a second here. VIBRATIONAL _ ALCHEMY at ns.simpatico.ca.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much. I just want to mention, Linda, before we sign off, yes. I so appreciate you joining me. And we've had some viewers from Nova Scotia. I think you probably will see some of the viewers we had on, some from Qatar and some from Australia. So we reached a far and wide audience today.
Wow, and, that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing your amazing talents with me and the viewers. And perhaps we can have another conversation soon, and we'll get to that website page soon as well. So
thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Well, Janice, thank you very much. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to share what I have, to offer. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you. And so we're signing off. My name is Janice Amaro, and I'm the founder of Janice Inspiring Change Holistic Nutrition. If you have any questions, I can be reached at janiceinspiringchange.com. We'll see you next Thursday for another inspirational conversation. Bye for now.
Take care.